the world we're living in, it's what I see in the last 36 years as a therapist from world is that it works beautifully when we do it with love and consistency. And guess what that demands of us all? We all have to work on ourselves. Very sorry. But this generation, this young generation, I saw there's a lot of young people here. You're going to be demanded to work on yourself in a way that never existed before, ever. Ever. Because your kids will not naturally accommodate your needs and your wishes, and they'll push back against you. And what you have to find in your heart is pure love, unconditional love. Doesn't matter what they say. The kid says, I hate you, Tati, or Daddy, or Papa. What is it? Papa?
Papi.
Papi? You're meant to look at your child in this generation and say, wow, that must be so hard for you. It's still bedtime. Which demands tremendous avodah midas. In previous generations, that got a slap in the face or some soap put on your tongue for speaking like that. You try putting soap on your kid's tongue, they'll bite your finger off. We have to come to terms with the fact that the world is changing in ways that we never dreamt or imagined, and that what it requires and demands of us is personal work on ourselves. Now, I have to tell you, I've discussed this with many Gedolei Yisrael, many Hasidic Rebbes, exactly this point. And it would appear to me that the internet, which is fueling all this craziness, listen to this, it's going to be crazy. I'm going to say something crazy now. Everyone says, whoa, the internet, nebuch us, nebuch this door, there's the internet, right? Everyone's like, this is the language people use. The young people today are trying to bring up their children in a world that never existed before, ever. The exposure of children today, the convenience of babysitting children with that stupid tablet, the convenience of that is so seductive. And we don't even realize what we're doing when we give them those tablets and we allow them to be babysat watching, I don't know, the wheels on the bus go round and round in Spanish, right? They do go round and round here, I imagine, right? And we babysit the kids with this stuff because it's convenient and easy. And so we condition the kids to control their selves and their reactions with screens instead of working on themselves. The nisyonos of this door are unprecedented in the history of the world. The challenges for young parents never existed in the history of the world. And what it demands is working on yourself. It means we've got to work on ourselves, on our midas, in a way that never happened before in the history of the world. It was never required as much as it's required today. Because when your kid's cursing you in the face, when you say it's bedtime, and you need to lean into that, you don't slap them, but you say, Mavida, that must be hard for you. They just must, what's it going to do with me? You said you hate me. Number one, I know my kid doesn't hate me. So why on earth would you react to a kid who says, I hate you? Well, you really think they hate you? You empower them when you react to it as if it's real. You give them power. You know, Messiachis is manipulation. It's nothing but childish manipulation. So you look at them and you lean into it and you say, wow, that must be so hard for you. But it's still bedtime. Still bedtime. Come, let's go. And when you do that 3, 4, 5 times in a row, guess what? They go to bed. But when you start getting angry with them, you actually empower the children. You give them koyach because they see that this little 6-year-old, 5-year-old thing, intimidated, got her mother crying. I mean, what does that mean? This 5-year-old little thing made her mother cry and call for reinforcements. You come home from work now, I can't cope. And this kid hears this. He hears the mother on the phone calling the husband back from work because I can't cope with him. You know what power that gives a child? You go back to it calm, soft, and loving. In the face of their defiance, in the face of their anger, you go back to it, and you know what you're doing when you're doing that? You're creating attachment with your children. The kasha is, but I am angry. So here's what I want everyone to think this very moment, if you agree with me. You're actually not angry. What you have is a program in your head from your childhood that this is what my mama and papa did, so this is what I do. I get angry because they got angry. I'm simply mimicking a program my parents put into me, which if I would step back for 1 minute, I would observe is not working. So why am I doing it? Am I crazy? And if they didn't get angry, you were zoicha to have parents who didn't get angry, and some people are, then you don't have that program, and I think you wouldn't be getting angry. You would just be repeating like a broken record, because that works. How many people discover that getting angry with your kids has a long-term benefit for their chinuch? I don't know any person in this day and age who thinks that anger has any... No, listen to this. Nobody was ever angered into agreement. What they're angered into is compliance, because they're scared of your anger. But they're not angered into agreement, which means the same problems will happen tomorrow and the next day. Just right now, you got compliance. You intimidated your kid. The trouble with that is it doesn't create attachment with you and your child. And if you don't create attachment with your children, then when they go through life and they suffer and they struggle, they will go somewhere else. They will not come back to you, because attachment is at the heart of success with children. And we don't achieve attachment by getting angry with them. If one time you get angry, it's not the end of the world. And that's why I said that what is required in today's generation is that we shift the focus to work on ourselves, something that never occurred in previous generations. I don't believe that musig ever existed, ever, in the history of the world. The parents sat down and realized, I have to do work on myself that is unfinished business. I used to say a joke about this. The Chovos HaLevavos writes that why are babies so adorable? Why are babies? Their parents go sugar over their baby. They hold that baby, they go crazy. You look at it, when you walk past the baby, you feel like you have to touch it. You have to schmettle it. You have to, babies, they just make us crazy. They have a chen, right or wrong. So the Chovos HaLevavos asked the question, and he says very simply that babies are made that way. Otherwise, how would we do all the work we need to do to take care of them? They disturb our lives completely. They throw our lives upside down. They disrupt a normal life. They interfere with us all the time. How would we do it if they didn't have that chen? So I added to this, well then, why is it that teenagers can be so obnoxious? Like, why is that? So it's pashut to me that if teenagers were so adorable like babies, we'd never let them get married. We'd want them home forever. The parting would be unbearable. Hashem put a chen in children, in babies, to give us the strength to cope. Otherwise, we never would have found the inner strength. As every parent knows, when you've got a baby, you have to work on yourself. It's not easy. That model is now true of the whole tchum of parenting, of all children, except they don't have the chen. They don't have the chen. Kodesh Baruch Hu, in His infinite wisdom, has given us challenges today that we never had. And I believe if we can relate to it through the window of my personal self-development, that these children are going to make me a better person. They're going to repair whatever damage was left over in my life. That's what my kids are going to offer me today. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's choice. That's why I say that the internet is a gift. It's a gift because it confronts us with things that we were never quite finished dealing with in the history of the world. And the internet forces us to face things. And there's no escaping it. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided that at this time before Mashiach, that we're going to finally deal with the tikkunim we need to deal with. This is not a bad thing. These are historic gifts Hashem is giving us, and we have to adjust to see it. When we bring up children, we as parents do our best to try and fix them. We try and help them work on their midas. We hope we do the best we can to try and prepare them for life. We fail, all of us. By the time they leave home, they still have unfinished business. The neshamas came back from Shemayim, and they're not perfect by the time they get married. They're on the way, but they're not perfect. So the spouse picks up where the parents left off, and they try and fix you. Have you noticed? And they fail too. And then you have teenagers, and they finish you off. Klal Yisrael has unfinished business. We have been, since the expulsion from the Beis HaMikdash, from Eretz Yisrael, according to Wikipedia, there are over 440 expulsions of the Jewish people throughout history. 440 from countries and cities. We faced enormous challenges through history. From the Spanish Inquisition and Tach B'Tat in Europe and the Holocaust in our times. We, as a nation, a Jewish nation, we have a lot of trauma, intergenerational trauma. We live with trauma as a people. The internet is facing us, forcing us to face ourselves and aspects of our life that are deeply challenging for us. We've always tried to be faithful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to His Torah mitzvahs. At the same time as we try so hard to be faithful, the world around us has always aspired to draw us towards it. And there's always been assimilation, there's always been challenges. But we've never had a window into the world, even at the times in Europe of the Haskalah, when the walls came down, when Napoleon moved through Eastern Europe and the walls of the ghetto came down. But that's nothing like what the internet does today to show every child the world, everything about it. It's never been a point in history where if our children are fed up and they become teenagers and they're not being nourished by our families, our communities, our homes and our schools, if they're not being nourished, they can instantly find fascination, entertainment, distraction, pleasure through the internet, instantly. This never existed in the history of the world. Again, the premise of the book was about this, was about us creating such a deep attachment with our children that they wouldn't need to look elsewhere. They would feel connected to us, to our Messiah, to our life, to our values, because we pass it over to them with love, with joy, where they feel wanted and desired by us, both in our homes and our schools and our community. There is no possible other answer of just sheltering from the internet. What we need is only to nourish from within.